But heading into game number 3, the score is currently 2-0 in Kynesie's favour. The next map, by the looks of it, is Tibet. And Kynesie switching to British has clicked in. GiveUAnxiety now hovering over is Japan. He still has the opportunity to change. We'll see what he does if he clicks in. But what do you think of this matchup?
I think it's pretty good. I mean, I don't really like Brit necessarily on this matchup, or in this map, just because it's a little bit lower on Hunt. I think it's a good map for Japan just because of how well the map spreads out and stuff. I think it would be pretty fun, or pretty even, all things considered. But you know, I mean, Kynesie obviously does know how to play more civs, but now we're starting to get into the point where it's maybe not his better civs. Oh,
the Sue being picked. That is interesting. GiveUAnxiety switching it up here. Kynesie now has the opportunity to select a different civilization, should he desire. Do you think he will?
Nah, I reckon. Oh no,
the Sue mirror.
Yeah, I was gonna say I reckon he's like, he knows his civs that he wants to play on certain maps, but it looks like potentially
GiveUAnxiety not happy with the Sue mirror. Gonna switch back to Japan, and
I reckon Kynesie goes back to Brits.
Yep, full cycle. Now that they've done that cycle, GiveUAnxiety realize that, all right, fine, I'm gonna have to take this. Or is he going to take the Sue mirror? Those are effectively what he's been offered. No, putting a new civ down on the table, has selected India. Kynesie clicking in as British, though. Actually, from the grand finals of the previous tournament, we know that this matchup is not quite a good one for British. For the clicking in, both players happy with it. But as you say, you know, British perhaps not so good on Tibet.
Yeah, but the one thing that they do have in this particular matchup is the fact that it is a bit choky, so longbows behind walls are still a thing, and I think that's what I expect to see from Kynesie in this game.
I think so too. So game number 3 is now happening. Our players are ready. They have selected their civilizations. GiveUAnxiety eventually landing on India after a few switcheroos. Kynesie playing as the British. The map is Tibet. It is very woolly. It is very mountainous. This is possibly one of the most interesting maps of Gaia's set. Simply because if you just look at it, you start on this inner ring, and we'll just quickly go around it for anybody who has not seen this map. It is a brand new map made by Gaia. So you have this outer ring where you have hunts and mines and a big trade route. It's worth noting this is 2 separate trade routes that kind of look like they're one. It's not quite like the Great Lakes trade route. And then as you sort of move in, you start on this inner ring, and then there's an even further inner ring, which has a single hunt placed on top of it. And by the looks of it, Forwardville coming out straight away from Kynesie here. Is he intending to get some early herding down, or is he going to do some early walling? No, he's going to build a manor in the middle.
He's going to build a manor. Oh, I actually really like this. This manor serves 2 purposes. One, and most importantly, it blocks a potential agri-fort placement. And 2, it allows him to get vision of whether or not his opponent is 10-10ing, and start herding hunts early. Yeah. I suppose this is just to make sure that if any sort of agri-fort, I wouldn't even be surprised if we see wall segments go down, like in all of these positions here. Like he can just start blocking.
Even before he's aged?
Yeah, just to block potential aggro.
I like the split there of the 2 vills. The first one coming out the manor, heading sort of over towards the left. He was looking for that hunt with both the vills, found it, and then sent them both there. Second manor now, all his mana's going down in the middle, aside from that starting one in his base. But
it's so good.
Yeah, it's clever. It's definitely a good idea. But we also introduced the location of our players. Spent a while introducing the map, a very mountainous region. It feels like you're playing on a mountain. And I think that was the aesthetic Gaia was going for. Big shout out to Gaia for making this map, and to Azank for the UI which we are using that shows us all the resources and all of that. But we do have Kynesie in the south of the map in the colour red playing as the British. Spent quite a lot of time showing the manners, but there they are. That's what he's done in the early game. No market there. GiveUAnxiety though, spawning sort of in the north right. The north right. That sounds so dumb. The north right position.
Have you got your post-it notes up yet?
I haven't, but I ought to.
East and west.
Yeah, Saturday
East,
SmackDown,
west,
you told me.
North, south.
I'll do it. Fairly good amount of cows, though, for GiveUAnxiety. He has picked up 7 cows. His opponent only on 2.
Hate to say I called it, but I called it.
What did you call?
the wall segments going down in all the random spots in the top of the mountain to block. It's so smart though as well, right? It blocks
totally blocks an aggro fort.
It blocks an aggro fort. There will be no aggro fort. And to be fair, if you look at this outer ring, like, I mean, you can maybe fit the aggro fort like in here. You could fit it in
That's
here.
Still really awkward.
Yeah, it's in a super awkward spot, and I guarantee you, like, the villager will run right up here to look to put down. Like, this has 100% not been scouted, I don't think, by GUA yet.
Wow.
Maybe it has by this elephant. But either way, like, he's going to send a villager to this middle portion of the map to put down an aggro fort, and he will not find a position to put it down, and that may force him to do something different, like, in his base.
Yeah, and if he's, not intending to do that thing,
Yeah,
he's
like
immediately
here
thrown
comes
off course.
here comes the Vil, and he's going to be in for a rude awakening. He's not going to find any spot to put down the aggro
This is
fort.
really good planning from Kynesie. It is expensive though to lay down all these wall segments, but here comes GiveUAnxiety. 3 villages. Look at this. Oh goodness, he's like, oh dear.
He can maybe fit it in over here.
Yeah.
Look at Kynesie. The race is on.
Yeah, is he gonna get the Vil on the spot?
Race.
Oh, he puts it down in the back, but is that?
You could see it in Kynesie's mind, like that he thought it was going to go down over here, and so he was desperately
wanted to
trying
put a Vil on top to block it.
Yeah.
But is this spot really that awkward for him? Do you feel like these wall segments are sort of wasted in a way, or is this wonder placement okay?
He still gets complete vision of what his opponent is doing, right? Like, there will be no units or no shipments that come out of the aggro fort that Kynesie doesn't immediately have knowledge of. So, and to be fair, it's a bit awkward to siege down these houses too. I mean, as a PR-14, what's one of the first things we learn when playing against British? Don't siege down manor houses, right? And now all of a sudden there's 3 manor houses right on top of your aggro fort, giving your opponent complete knowledge of what you're doing. And
even more walls.
This is the Kynesie we've all come to know and love.
Yeah. So
and look at this, and it's so smart too. Like, he knows he's like basically building a little airlock for his like longbows to stand in, right? Like, he knows where his opponent is going to go. Oh yes, I was just going to say, like, I hope he just jams that tower right in there. It's such a good spot for him. Covers his coin mine. It covers, like, it's that tower is covered behind 2 segments of walls, right? Like, it's going to be able to shoot over 2 segments of walls, and things are just getting more and more awkward by the second for GiveUAnxiety.
What's going on with this elephant in this villager? It's just been like pummeling away with his gun. He's going to take it out by the looks of it. Oh no, 100 extra hit points from the age up there. But yeah, this is shaping out to be quite an interesting age 1. Both players now up to the Colonial. Let's take a look at what they're up to. 700 wood has now just arrived from Kynesie. I would expect to see lots of manor houses going down. Has, I think, skimped on the manor. Well, actually, no, not really. I thought he built so many walls that he'd skimped on the manors. But out of this wood, we can expect perhaps another military building. But certainly plenty of manors and obviously the upgrades as well. The Indian player GiveUAnxiety. We'll have to see what his first shipment is. Likely to be something like 600 wood, though.
Yeah, I think it'll just be like 600 wood. I don't anticipate like ramming more and more sepoys into these walls.
Oh, 5 sepoys does come out and committing to the aggression style despite all of this vision that his opponent has, and more importantly, the walling. Was he aware of the walls in his opponent's base? He had to suspect that would be a thing. Can he make it happen though? Can he make something happen with these extra units?
He is going to try and swing over here to the left-hand side, which is going to be the more appropriate route. Coming down here through the middle section, there's there's so much in the middle here of the map that it's not going to have any success coming down here. So I do like at least the approach from the left-hand side. It's going to be a little bit more appropriate, but either way, there's still a lot of defensive structure here that he's going to have to navigate his way around to actually do any lasting damage.
And it is very, very awkward to have, one set of units here and one here with no easy way to hook them up in the middle. It's not like you can just put them together without going a very, sort of awkward distance. Does lose all 5 of those sepoy going down just to the outrageous range of longbowmen there. And that nullifies the shipment entirely. It doesn't have that 600 wood, which is such a big investment, such a big sort of impact that it has on what you can do, like upgrades, infrastructure. It doesn't have that anymore, and the 5 sepoy didn't really seem to achieve sort of all that much. It did force a 6 longbow shipment out of Kynesie, but I have a feeling that that was what he was going to send, irrespective of what GiveUAnxiety did.
Yeah, assuming, of course, that he saw some sort of pressure. I think that was the reasonable call to make either way. But now, like, look at the position we're left in. I mean, the walling has finished here on the central choke. That secures quite a bit of hunt. Oh man, those hunts! Oh, they're all gonna get inside the wall. That's so huge,
wow.
actually. Like, all of the hunts got inside the wall.
The middle hunts, he's walled them back. They can't escape now. That's extra hunt out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's so good. And now they're like all kind of stuck in this little airlock too, right? He's gonna lose a couple of vills, but he's also gonna be able to push back the pressure, which is...
He didn't even lose them. Oh wait,
yeah,
you mean these two in the back? Yeah, he might lose.
He's gonna lose maybe one back
I was looking at some on the front.
But yeah, it's such an awkward game for GiveUAnxiety from here on out, right? Like, his main attack path has been completely cut off. He's giving his opponent full vision, and like, he doesn't really want to siege these down. I mean, look at Kynesie's pop. He's at 45 out of 90. It's not like losing those houses like actually really matters to him. This is where, if I'm GiveUAnxiety, I'm just scratching my head and wondering, like, why did I have to play against this guy? Why can't I play against someone who's just going to play normal?
Yeah. maybe this should be the normal way to play. Maybe it's not that good. There are ways to counter this, but it's an interesting style, and it certainly works for him.
The thing is, like, GiveUAnxiety has to practice to beat this player and this player alone, right?
Yeah.
And then if he beats this player, then he has to go back to playing like a completely different style to beat standard play. Like, he's spent probably the last several weeks like studying for like these matchups and these games just to like try and beat this strange style, and then he has to work doubly hard to like go back to beating standard play after the fact.
The question is though, why isn't Kynesie's style the standard way of playing? There's definitely a reason for that, and
because I think it's difficult to punish, but I think if properly played against, it is punishable. And to be perfectly fair, it's not easy to play. Like, this is not an easy style to play. Like, with all these these wall segments, sometimes they seem random, but they're not random. Like, he's got a very formulated plan with how he's building his walls and the manner of which he's placing his buildings and the position of which he's like putting down that tower. Like, that outpost may seem like it's in a somewhat random position, but it's not, right? It's covering his silver mine. It's shooting over 2 segments of walls up into, you know, the cliff and stuff like that. Yeah. And like having the foresight to put those things down in those very particular spots and keep all of your villagers safe whilst doing all this and playing from, you know, somewhat awkward positions is not an easy thing to do. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes you watch him.
Look how safe all these vills are.
Yeah.
They're just untouchable. Even from the raiding pressure.
Watch him execute it, and it seems like, oh, like everyone should do this. This seems really, really good. But it's not that easy to do. And it's much easier to say, like, well, everyone should play like this. But in practicality, if everyone played like this, very few people would find the success that Kynesie finds with this playstyle.
Yeah, that's true. Kynesie, certainly good, certainly unique. What do you think? What is the state of the game currently? Kynesie currently on 39 villagers compared to GiveUAnxiety's 32, which is not as impressive as it could be considering we are, 11 minutes effectively into the game, and only being 8 vills up is... And, GiveUAnxiety does have 2 wood trickles behind this, so it's even like the villager lead Kynesie has isn't all that impressive, but, it does have a fairly large military presence and lots of safe resources, and the potential to build, at this point in the game, still more manors. I don't know. Kynesie is arguably in a solid state. But what does India have going for them? This game is by no means over.
India's actually in a perfectly okay position. He's got his villager shipment from Auto Consulate just finishing up now. I mean, he's going to, pull within 5 villagers here.
That's not good. Oh, he's not going to get punished at all. All right, that's fine.
Loses one of the panels, but
nothing happened. That's all right then.
Nope, we're out of here. But no, like the ecos are really close. GiveUAnxiety's got good upgrades. He's got Auto Consulate. He's got good infrastructure. He still does have the Agri Fort in the middle of the map, giving him complete vision of where his opponent's at. His opponent is Brit and is running out of Hunt, which at some point becomes a fairly relevant thing. And I mean, India, as the game progresses, does scale better into the middle portion of the game. So India's definitely got the better age 3. And if it gets to that point, which it looks like for Kynesie it's going to fairly soon.
Yeah, I think so.
If it gets to the point where both players are... if both players get into the third age, obviously India does have the better age 3 place. So we'll have to see. I don't think things are just over for GiveUAnxiety. They're definitely a little tenuous, though, now that Kynesie is on his way to the third age.
Yeah, that is true, but equally, if Kynesie... I don't know, Kynesie's still got a very large army presence. I mean, pushing your opponent whilst they're aging is good, but it just doesn't feel like GiveUAnxiety can achieve that at this point in time. I don't know.
One thing that always
I'm
surprises me
struggling to get my head around this.
Yeah, the thing that always surprised me about Kynesie is he spends so many villager seconds and so much time like walling and running around and stuff, and it seems like he's always still somehow aging. Like, it doesn't feel like he should be able to age right now because like he's lost quite a few villagers to raids. I mean, he's Brit. It's 13 minutes and he's only at 44 vills. I mean, 44 vills at 13 minutes is not the gold standard for boomy British play. Let's be perfectly honest. I mean, that should be the number you should be aiming to have at, pre-10 minutes. So it's not like his eco's out of control, out of this world, like mind-boggling strong right now. It's really not, but he still has managed to get a decent army and has managed to age up behind all this, which is impressive in itself.
With very defensive structures and fortifications, you could argue. Yeah, and I guess those are the reason why his economy isn't quite as good as it could be, as you're saying. But about to hit up here. Here comes sort of GiveUAnxiety pressuring this barracks on the side, making some use out of the units he has. But he's going to see his opponent age up, and he's not going to be too happy that actually British managed to sneak up. Do you necessarily think he's expecting this?
He hasn't gotten a good read on GiveUAnxiety's army size in the very recent past, so I don't think he'll be completely caught off guard by it, just because the army size for the Brit player hasn't been revealed, and if the Brit player isn't timing pushing out, it probably means he's not super confident in his mass, which probably means that he's trying to do something sneaky behind this. So I don't think that comes as too big of a surprise, but at the same time, it's definitely not something GUA is happy to see, because at this point, we can see he's probably saving to age himself, and playing catch-up is not something he necessarily wants to be doing either.
No, now British is up to the next stage. They do now sort of have the initiative got those upgrades. He's now could go to GiveUAnxiety, and that is what he's going to do.
Yeah, and likely lose 2 Falcons. Yeah, there it is. Wow, and he's even trained 3 more Falcons.
Wow, he has. This is initiative. This is tempo. This is.
Yeah, this is scary. And behind this, GiveUAnxiety has just started to age. He is aging with the Taj Mahal, so if he does get aged up, he will be able to buy himself a little bit of time to get out something like 2 siege elephants or something to potentially delay these falconettes. But I feel like it's going to be a little bit too late.
Obviously, you don't want to age when your opponent's pressuring you, and it feels like British sort of sneaked up in a way, and now you're aging. And this is exactly the position you don't want to be in. Oof. Wow, that is one volley. Agrifort goes down, and he's only 50% aged. You would much rather have maybe 2,100 or 2,200 extra units worth of resources. Well, 2,200 extra units would be quite nice, actually.
I think we would classify that as cheating. You randomly have 2,000 units in a 200 population game. There's a head scratcher.
I wonder if the game would lag. It probably would. Wow, look at this though. Five cannons bringing down the consulate, which is a very fairly tanky building, and he's just going to move on to all of these houses in the stable and just absolutely everything. GUA only just now getting up, and it's not like he can get upgrades instantly and send shipments instantly. He does, however.
He's going to pop the ceasefire.
He is able to do that instantly.
is going to pop the
That's
ceasefire.
one of the few
And
things he can do instantly.
we have to pray for his hopes that he's able to get some upgrades. He's likely going to need 2 siege elephants ASAP. Looks like he did have a shipment when he got aged up, so potentially that's sending. Maybe there's something like Urmi that can pop out and save him as well. Obviously, if the muskets get a little bit too ambitious here and get caught out by a 7-year Urmi shipment, maybe there's a chance that he can catch up. But I think he might just lose the town center and his only remaining place to drop units off as well before that even becomes
it's gone.
Yeah. There you can see shipment back in queue.
Yeah, he was sending one and no longer. Yeah, it's back, and that does spell the end of the game. GiveUAnxiety calling it there. A 3-0 sweep. GL in the next round. Of course, Kynesie progresses to the round of 16, and GiveUAnxiety is eliminated from the Summer Championships.
Yeah, it looks like GiveUAnxiety did have his siege elephant sending.
Just about to arrive by the looks of it. I think the British sneaked up, and then GiveUAnxiety plays catch up, and as a direct result of that, British is pushing him as he's aging, and that's never a good time. And,
I think he spent a little bit too much time trying to force the issue, and this is like the recurring theme of things that I see when people play against Kynesie. It always seems like they spend a little bit too much time focusing on trying to stop him from aging up instead of just slowing his age up and then being a step ahead of him when it comes to the tech game. I feel like the India player, he could still do like the 5 sepoy early, and he could still like force all the awkward wall segments and the towers and like the weird stuff that Kynesie's building, but still be playing economically enough behind it that, I mean, like, look at his Imperial bureaucracy. Didn't get there until 13 minutes and 13 seconds. Like, he could have that, like, 6.5 minutes instead. And he could just, like, power up his eco. And if he could power up his eco and get aged up a little bit earlier and, like, stay technologically more advanced than his opponent, he would have a better chance than, playing the catch-up, as we mentioned, and trying to deal with 5 falconets and veteran muskets at, this point in the game, which is going to be very difficult to deal with.
Absolutely right. That is, however, the end of GiveUAnxiety's tournament adventure for another few months. I'm not necessarily sure where he placed in the previous tournament, but GiveUAnxiety is certainly someone to be looking out for. I remember GiveUAnxiety sort of coming back to AoE 3, or sort of starting with AoE 3 after, his I guess Soldier, his brother, streamed a lot, but GiveUAnxiety, I remember him sort of starting out on the official AoE channel, because he came from, I believe, Age of Empires Online, that is right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And I remember being better than him for a short period of time. Didn't last long.
He's a good RTS player.
Picked it up quickly, and, definitely someone to watch out for. I think he's going to be around for a while, and that's good.
Yeah, definitely a decent player. Unfortunately, he rammed into the force that is Kynesie in the round of...
Oh, God.
I maintain what I said earlier. I would rather play any other player than Kynesie in this tournament. If, like, maybe there are probably a few people who have different views, and they're probably very high-level people. But, as a PR35 player, like even myself, if I was playing in this tournament, Kynesie is the last person I would want to see on my side of the bracket, just because I know how frustrated I would personally get playing against him. It would be very, very difficult to deal with. And to his credit, like, that just shows how good of a player he is, right? Like, if other people are having this difficult of a time dealing with it and dealing with his playstyle, obviously he's crafted something that is being effective for him.
Yep, I would agree with that statement. Amen to that. That is, unfortunately, though, the end of the round of 32 Sunday stream. I'm not sure if there are